Hey, what's going on everybody? My name is Chris and welcome to LinuxTechGeek. So in today's video, I wanted to cover some tips and tricks for new to Emacs users. I know a lot of you guys that may be new to Linux, you're starting to kind of get into Emacs now, and this video may help you just with some beginner types of tricks that new to Emacs users you may not know, and also there might be some tips and tricks that some of you advanced users may not know as well. So I'm not going to cover every single thing about Emacs in this video. This video would be 10 hours long, but what I am going to cover in this video, just some general tips and tricks that I've kind of picked up along the way of using Emacs here for, I don't know, a couple months. So with all that being said, let's jump over to the desktop and let's get started. So how do we start up Emacs? Well, if you're a new to Emacs user, you may be tempted to get in a terminal like this, right? And type in Emacs, whatever, Emacs program or Emacs, just whatever, right? And that is the incorrect way of starting Emacs. Just stop that, okay? You can see that it took a while to fire up Emacs. And even if we run Emacs up here, so we can type in Emacs, right? And you can see how long it takes to fire up Emacs. 1.2 something seconds, which isn't that long, but compared to Vim and NeoVim and stuff like that, yeah, that takes quite a while. Okay, so how are we supposed to start up Emacs? What's the proper way of starting Emacs? Well, the proper way of starting Emacs is to fire up a daemon of Emacs. Okay, if you're in a desktop environment like KDE, GNOME, XFCE, there's a file that you can edit to auto start programs, right? If you're in a window manager such as Qtile, Xmonad, all the rest of them, awesome. Most of the time there is some kind of configuration that you can have your auto start programs start up, right? Like your desktop effects and your wallpapers and stuff like that. That is where you would put your Emacs daemon auto start stuff up, right? So what we could do is we could do Emacs, and then I'm doing this command right here, but the main thing is you just want to have this daemon after it, okay? The reason I'm doing it with X Toolkit Lucid is there's a bug right now on the Arch edition of Emacs, and sometimes the Emacs daemon will crash, and it doesn't crash with this this Lucid flag right here, all right? So we hit enter, okay? And you can even see it right here. There's a GTK issue right here with Emacs. But you can see Emacs loaded in however many seconds, right? Okay. Now that we've done that, how are we supposed to fire up Emacs, right? Because we don't use that Emacs command. Well, we use Emacs client. Okay, so we do Emacs client, and then we do a -C flag. C is for new window, I believe. -A. Okay, and then we do 2 empty quotes. Or you can also put Emacs in these empty quotes. And what that'll do is that will tell Emacs client, hey, if Emacs client, that program can't run, then it will just fire up regular Emacs, okay? So we run this, and now let's see how fast Emacs actually fires up. That's pretty fast. That is a heck of a lot faster than it was a minute ago, right? So this load time right here, you can't really judge this load time because this is the load time that it took the daemon to fire up, but you could just see right then that how much faster Emacs boot it up. Another common mistake I see new to Emacs users make is you run Emacs, right? We run Emacs. We do our stuff, whatever, right? Close Emacs. You want to edit something else. You boot up into Emacs again. Back and forth, right? You have this Vim mindset of open a terminal, Vim into something, get out of it, do whatever you gotta do, get back into it. Just stop. If you're gonna run Emacs, fire up Emacs, okay? You can use Emacs for everything. You can use it as a terminal. You can use it as a text editor. You can play games in it. You can use it as a file manager if you wanted to, okay? So I have a quick keybind right here for my Emacs client, okay? And if I want a file manager and I'm playing and I'm doing something in Emacs, well, I got one right here. Right there. There's my file manager, right? Now, I don't have any games installed on my Emacs, but you know, actually I might because I'm running on Arch, Tetris. Yeah, I do have a game here, Tetris. Right here, Tetris, right inside the Emacs. Ain't this cool? Like, now I don't know. Yeah, okay. Now I suck at Tetris, guys, but you know, you can do that, right? You can totally do that, and it's cool, right? So the main point about this is that fire up Emacs and just run Emacs, okay? Emacs has a terminal. They have a file manager. You have your games. You have everything inside of Emacs. You don't need to you know, use Emacs as a text editor. Get out of Emacs. Fire up a terminal. Do your terminal thing, get back into Emacs, and you just don't need to do all that. Okay? So the next tip I want to give is the meta key. Yes, the meta key. You might see documentation if you are ever thinking about writing your own configuration, and you'll see something, it has a big M, and then it has a hyphen, and it has an X, and you're like, what is that symbol? What is that symbol? That's the meta key. So what is the meta key here in Emacs? It's the Alt key. That's all it is, okay? So anytime you see the big capital M hyphen X, all they're talking about is Alt X, okay? So we do Alt X, and this is the meta key, right? And you can see that capital M hyphen X right there, okay? And you can see the last thing that I actually used, Alt X, was Tetris. It remembers, okay? And Alt X, what that is supposed to do is that's supposed to do everything in Emacs. Any application you have installed in Emacs, any package that you have installed, any variable, any theme, anything inside of Emacs, you can configure using Alt X. Now, you can turn some stuff on and you can turn it off, and it won't save unless it's in a configuration file, but you can use those commands. Okay, so let me get into a config here, and I'll show you what I'm talking about. So if we do my Emacs readme.org file, this is my Emacs configuration file. Okay, and you can see I have a, hold on. Oh no. So you can see in my configuration file, you can see how my mouse cursor highlights that right there when I move up and down. So, and if I go right here, you can see how it highlights. That's a program. Okay. And that program is called Beacon. Okay. Now, remember how I was talking about Meta X? Well, let's see. Let's turn beacon on, or beacon off rather, using meta X. So if we do meta X, and I type in beacon, you can see this beacon mode, right? And you can see where it says toggle beacon mode on or off. So if we hit enter, you can see now it says at the very bottom, beacon mode is disabled. And to verify that, you can see we go up and down. We don't see that beacon mode anymore, right? If we want to turn it on, meta X, hit enter. Beacon mode is now enabled, and you can see it actually turned on. So if you ever go to write your own configuration and you're trying to install a package and you're thinking, hey, does this package work or not? Meta X. Type in meta X, the name of the package, the mode, turn it on, turn it off to see if it works, okay? You will use meta X quite a lot here inside of Emacs. The next tip I want to give you guys is describe variable and describe function. Now this is maybe a little advanced, but I think new users should really understand this. Emacs is self-documenting, okay? That means every single program that you install here in Emacs is self-documenting, okay? And how do you read the documentation? How do you know what if a variable is turned on or turned off? Well, that's describe function, describe variable. So if we do meta X, right, and we do describe function, okay, we use describe function, and now we can go through and we could look at every function that's inside of Emacs here, and we could see exactly all of the stuff, right? So if I can type in whatever I want, vertigo. So here we go, vertigo exit. Let's figure out what this function does. So we hit enter, and you can see right here it pulls up a little window. Vertigo exit is an interactive byte compiled function. It exits the mini buffer with the current candidate or input, whatever, right? So it exits the mini buffer. Okay. Now, describe variable kind of does the same thing. So if we do meta X, describe variable, right? And we can look at any variable. So we can look at, trying to look at my, let's look at my Corfu. So let's look at this, right? And we can see these variables, see if they're turned on, see what the values are. So let's look at the mode here. So you can see right here, it says Corfu mode is turned on. You see how it says its value is T? Well, T means it's true. T means it's turned on. If it was not true, or if it was not turned on, it would be nil, or it would be 0. Okay, so keep that in mind. T and 1 means on, nil and 0 means off. Okay, so if you're ever writing your own configuration and you see stuff like that where it says nil, just understand that nil means off. And you can kind of see in my configuration right here where I have Corfu cycle T. That means I'm turning Corfu cycle, I'm turning it on. So that's a little bit about describe function and describe variable. Now, what I also did is I have a quick key here. So mine is space H, and then I have R, and then I have down here I have F, or I have V. So space href is going to be my describe function. Space hrv will be my variable. And I just set that up using a quick bind or a keybind here. Okay. And another quick tip is the ibuffer command. Now, let me show you guys what the ibuffer command is. The ibuffer command is how to see which buffers are open. Everything that you open up here in Emacs is a buffer. You gotta get your head around that concept, okay? It's not a window, it's a buffer, okay? Everything is its own separate buffer. Okay, so this dashboard, the initial scratch pad, the myagenda.org, everything is a buffer, okay? Every file that you open up, every terminal that you open up inside here in Emacs. Hell, even if you play a game here inside of Emacs, it will open up a new buffer, okay? And using maggot, same thing. It's all a buffer, okay? Now, we can do space. Let's go ahead and open up a dear ed. Now, if I open up dear ed right here, guess what? Dear ed's going to be a buffer, okay? So you can see dear ed's open. If we, if I type in meta x, ibuffer, you will see dear ed right there. And it opened up as a buffer, okay? And we can go to this buffer, okay? And we can also go to, we can go to this buffer. We can go to our previous buffers. Now, I do need to set up some keybinds to quickly switch between buffers here, but you can scroll between buffers. In fact, I might actually have one. Space P. No, that's right. It doesn't work here in dear ed. I got some configuration stuff going on that I need to tweak inside dear ed because some of my quick keybinds don't work. But you can kind of understand, right? Everything that you open up here in dear ed is its own separate buffer. Okay. So if we wanted to look at Qtile, go into Qtile, open up the Qtile configuration file, right? There's the Qtile configuration file. Type in meta x, ibuffer. You can see we have 4 dear eds open, right? We have our emacs.d, we have our Chris dear ed, we have our config dear ed, we have our Qtile dear ed. We got a lot of buffers going on, okay? So just remember, every single thing that you open up in Emacs, it's its own separate buffer, and you can quickly look at these buffers by typing in meta x ibuffer. You can also set up a keybind, and then I have another keybind. So I use a program called Perspective. Perspective is just workspaces on Emacs. I did a video a while back on Perspective, but my ibuffer kind of looks a little different than the regular ibuffer command, and that's because my ibuffer, I use the Perspective ibuffer command, and it doesn't show every single thing that's loaded. But you get the idea, right? Everything inside of Emacs is its own buffer. And then you can kill buffers. I think I have a quick command here, space B, kill other perspective, remove buffer. Yeah, let's remove it. Perspective. Well, I need to set up a quick kill. Buffer close. Alright, here we go. Buffer. Kill buffer. Okay, so if I do kill buffer, I can select which buffer I want to kill. So we'll kill that one. It don't matter. But just understand that everything that you open up is a buffer here in Emacs. And the last and the final tip here in Emacs is I want it to come from you guys. Write me something down in the comments below and tell me a quick tip that I didn't cover here in this video that you guys might know that might be able to help out some of these newer to Emacs people. And also it might even help myself out because I know a lot of you guys have probably been using Emacs for quite a while and you guys are probably a hell of a lot smarter than I am. So write something down in the comments down below and share a quick tip that you guys have kind of learned that may be able to help out somebody else. Well, if you guys found any value or education in this video, please give me a thumbs up. It really does help out the channel. And until next time, I want you guys to take care, be safe, and peace. Bye, guys. Thanks for watching.